Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can print this particular pattern. So now, to print this particular pattern, what we need to do is that we will divide this pattern into two patterns and we will combine those two patterns and we will get this whole pattern. So if you can see this pattern and observe this pattern looks symmetrical, right? So we are starting with 5, we are going till 1, and again we are starting with 1, we are going till 5. So for that, what we will be doing is that we will start printing this particular above pattern. Later we will print this particular below pattern. We will combine together and get the whole pattern. So to start with, I will take a variable rows and I will assign these rows to 5. So because if you can see here, we are starting with 5 and we are also having, I am taking these rows to till this value 1. So from 5 till 1 we are having 5 rows. For that reason only I am taking this value of rows as 5. So next what I will be doing is that I will take a variable spaces. Why I am taking this spaces variable is because if you can observe this pattern, we not only having these numbers, we are also having these spaces before starting these numbers. See here and everything we are having these spaces. So to keep track these spaces and to print these spaces, I am using this spaces variable. So initially I will start these spaces with 0 because the first row we don't have any spaces apart from numbers. For that reason I will take spaces as 0. Later what I will be doing is that to generate these rows I will use a for loop because these rows can be generated using for loop, right? I'm talking only about rows. One row, second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, like that to generate rows. So for that, I will use a for loop for I in range. I will generate a range of values. So what range of values we need to generate is important to print this particular pattern. So if you can see here, we are starting with 5, we are going towards 1. So can I generate the range of values from 5 to 1? So which otherwise means that how many number of rows we are having till the value 1. So for that reason, I will use rows, rows till 0 and on each iteration I will decrement with 1 because I will starting with rows I wanted to go till 1. So for that reason I have mentioned is 0. So because this range function only consider the previous value, for that reason only I am mentioning 0. But on each iteration I want to reduce this to -1. For that reason I have mentioned -1. So later, what we will be doing inside of this particular for loop is that let us try to understand what the values that we are having inside of this for loop by printing the value I here. So if I could print this particular I, we can able to get these values 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which are these values 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So by using this I variable, can we able to get this particular pattern? Yes, we can able to get this particular pattern by using this particular I variable. Because if you see here, we have 5 here and we are having 5 value repeated 5 number of times. We have 4 in I and we are having 4 in second row. Like that, by using this I variable, we can actually print this particular pattern. If you see here, these values 5 is repeating 5 number of times. This value 4 is repeating 4 number of times. So it is repeating, right? So what we generally do when something is repeating, we generally use loops, right? So that is what we will be doing inside of this for loop. If we use one more for loop, it will become inner loop for this outer loop, which is considered as nested loops. So for that, I will use j in range. What I will be doing is that we have understood that by using this I, we can actually generate this. So for that reason, I will generate a range of values from 1 till I plus 1. So if I print this value I inside of this inner for loop, what we will be getting? So let's see. So we are getting the values as 5 is repeating 5 times, 4 is repeating 4 times, 3 is repeating 3 times. Like that, we are able to get these values which are present here. So now the only thing we need to do is that to arrange these particular values to get this pattern. So for that, I will use an end parameter here, and this end parameter will be considering with spaces because by default, print statement, print having this end parameter as new line character. We were overriding this new line character with a single space. After that, what I will be doing is that I will use a simple print statement here. Because if you carefully see before using this print statement, we are directly coming to this inner loop, and after completing of this inner for loop, we are directly going to this outer for loop. This is keep happening and we are not doing anything. So for that reason, after I am mentioning a print, so that after completion of this inner for loop, I wanted to print a new line character. So then it will go to the outer loop and come inner loop, and this will keep repeating so that we can able to get some pattern. So let's print and see what we can get. So we can get this particular pattern, so that is not what we wanted. So if you can relate to this particular pattern, we are having spaces, right? So we can say that before actually printing these spaces, we cannot actually print this particular pattern. For that reason, we need to print spaces, right? So where we need to print spaces before actually printing this pattern, before actually printing these numbers. So here in the inner for loop, we are printing these spaces, we are printing these numbers. So if we could print these spaces before actually printing these numbers, which is inside of this outer for loop, we can able to get this pattern, right? So that is what I am doing now. I am using spaces, and by using string multiplication, I am using to get this particular pattern. So now I will be using this end parameter, and I will assign with nothing because by default it will give new line character. That is not what we wanted. So after completion of this, we need to increment, decrement, increment these spaces, because on each iteration the spaces are increased by one, and it will keep increasing till the end of this pattern, right? So that is what I will be doing now. Spaces plus equal to 1. So if we print this, we can actually print this, get this particular pattern, which is of this above pattern. So congratulations, we have printed this above pattern. Now what we need to do is that we need to print this particular below pattern. So for that reason, what I will be doing is that as like we have printed above pattern, we can similarly print this below pattern by using this particular similar structure with a different procedure. So for that, I will use a for loop to generate these rows. So for that, I will use for, we have used ij, let's use the variable k. So the naming convention is better to have some kind of a different naming convention, but to make it simple, I am using these values as I, J, K, L like that. So k in range, I'm using this range function to generate range of values. So if you see this pattern, we have actually got this particular one value, so that we will just start with two value and go till the value 5. For that reason, I will start with 2 and I will go till rows plus 1. So it will go till the value 5. So in this, what I will be doing is that I will use a print statement to print this particular spaces, right? So that is what we have understood in the previous step also. So for that reason, I will use a space, and I will multiply the space with the spaces, and I will use this end parameter as new line character. So later what I will be doing is that, as we have seen, to get this particular repeated numbers 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, we need to use one more for loop as like we have used this here. So for that reason, I will use a for loop for L in range. I will use this particular K, because by using this particular K, we can actually get this pattern. So I will just print this value k so that you can able to understand it clearly. So if I print this, I can able to get the value as 2, 3, 4, 5. So by using this k, we can actually generate this particular pattern, as like by using I, we have generated this particular pattern, right? So that is what I will be doing this for loop. So I will take this here and I will put after completion. So now I will start with 1. I will go till the value of k plus 1. So we have seen, right, by using this k we can actually print the pattern. For that reason, I am starting with 1. I am going till the value of k plus 1. In this I will just print the value k, and we can able to get the pattern. So before actually printing, I will use this end parameter to get this particular, to get rid of this new line character and having this particular spaces here, nil spaces. So at the end, I will use a simple print statement to get the new line character. So if I execute this, we can able to get this pattern. The reason is that we are not doing any modification to the spaces. So what we need to do is that we need to decrement these spaces on each iteration. So here we are having constant spaces. For that reason only we are getting this pattern. So we need to decrement that. For that reason, I will using spaces minus minus equal to 1. So if I execute this, we can able to get this pattern, but not exactly what we have expected. The reason is we are using these spaces for both above pattern and below pattern. That is not a wrong thing, but we need to do some modification after completion of this step. So before actually doing that, let's see what we have these particular spaces. So we are having the spaces of 5, but how many number of spaces that we wanted in two line here? 1, 2, 3. We only require 3 spaces, but we are getting 5 spaces, so that we need to decrease these spaces to 2 so that we can actually get the pattern as we have expected. So for that reason only I am mentioning spaces minus equal to 2 to get the spaces as 3. So if I execute this, we can able to get this pattern, but not exactly the same pattern. There is something wrong with these spaces still. So if I print the spaces, we can actually get the spaces as 3, but what's wrong with the spaces? We are getting 4 spaces here because we are printing a space here, and we are decreasing the spaces minus 1 equal to here. So the problem is that we need to mention a single space, not single space. We need to mention this end parameter with nothing so that we can actually get the whole pattern. If you can carefully see here, previously we have mentioned with nothing. Here also we need to mention the spaces with nothing. And if I print this, we can actually get this whole pattern as we have expected. Now I hope you can able to understand, and I hope you can able to print this particular pattern. So if you have confusion any of this stage, I suggest you to watch this video once again with carefully so that you can able to understand how we can able to print this particular pattern. So next what we will be doing is that we will take this rows input dynamically from the user and print the pattern. So for that I will be using into input enter rows. I'm asking user to enter rows. If I execute this, if I give the value, let's say 5, we can able to get this particular pattern. That is what we have expected and executed previously also. So if I give, let's say the value as 9 here, so we can able to get the pattern what we expected. It was starting with 9 and going till the value 1 and again coming till the value 9. So that is good, right? So let us give one more number. Let's say in this time I will give value 3. So still we can able to get the result as starting with the 3, going till 1 and again going till the value 3. So now I hope you can able to understand this. Now I hope you can able to print this particular pattern using logic. And if you found this video interesting, hit the like button. In the next video, we will see how we can print this particular pattern. So to stay updated, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.